What's up, guys? Thank you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to the channel. Uh, so, start off by saying Happy Friday. Hope everyone had a good Friday, and hope everyone had a good work week. Um, so, I haven't really done much since the smoker build this last weekend. It's been a busy week. So, with it being Friday, and we got the weekend. Uh, let's build something. So, we already covered passive trapping. Well, all trapping is passive trapping, basically. But pass-through trapping, all right, where you're setting snares and everything on like game trails, up where a squirrel lives, near a den or anything like that. Something that they can just pass right on through and get trapped into it. Okay? Now, let's dive into the realm of pole snares. All right, spring poles, stuff like that. So let's build ourselves a what's called a toggle pole snare. Okay, so for that we're going to need something to make snare out of. We're going to be using about, I don't know, it's about 8-ish feet that I got here of some 550 paracord. Okay, we've got our multi-tool. Okay, my good old Leatherman that's with me every day. All right, because it's got a cutting tool on it, it's got a saw, it's got what we need. Okay, we don't need our big folding saw, camp saw, anything like that. Okay, now we're going to need to find some parts and pieces to make this. Okay, you need something to make an anchor out of. Okay, because you're going to need to anchor the toggle. Okay, you got to make the toggle. Let's start that off. All right, that's something that's going to anchor the toggle down. So we need something that we're going to be able to stick into the ground. Okay, for that we can either use some kind of green sapling, something that's got some bend to it. Let's see if I got something nearby I can show y'all. Right here. So something that's green, all right, like this, all right, that's got some bend to it. Okay, and what you do is you bend that, push it into the ground, make like a little bit of a horseshoe anchor. Okay, now the problem with that is sometimes they don't have a whole lot of bend because it's green, it's bendy, but because it's green, it's not solid just yet. It doesn't have a hold. So to get around that, we could find something that's got a bit of a V shape to it. Well, I'm going in the opposite way, okay? Something that's got a Y or a V shape to it. All right, so we'll get looking for something like that. Next, we'll back up a little bit. And then we're gonna need a decent sapling that's gonna have some nice tension to it and make a pole snare out. Got some spring action to it. Okay, you put all that stuff together, you've got a toggle pole snare. Okay, all right, so searching around a little bit, I found this little deal right here. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off at the tree here, and it's got a nice wide V or Y, whatever shape you want to get into it. Okay, and we'll cut this off and we'll anchor this. This will be our anchor. Okay, so we're gonna. So to get started, I'm just gonna go ahead and trim this down a little bit. Okay. All right, so I don't need all of this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Now, I've seen a lot of people where they make them, where they're making, where they're making the pole snare and all, and they don't top it off, okay? So they leave that on there. Now me, I think that's a problem, okay? Because what this is doing is with the leaves and the excess, okay, it's adding drag, okay? It's adding more weight to the springiness of the pole, which is going to be here, okay? And that takes away that spring pole action, okay? Takes away the speed that is going to go up, okay? So we're gonna take a little bit of weight off of this, just for starters, okay? Take this little branch off. don't need that. Okay, then we may have to cut this up a little bit more, but for now, we're just gonna there we go. Clean that up a little bit. All right, see? Let me show you. Now, it doesn't have any drag on it, so there's nothing that's got to take up but itself right here. So check this out. Bam! Now, with that being said, y'all saw that. Safety tip. Just be careful putting this together, because if you slip and your face is near that, y'all can put 2 and 2 together, right? Yeah, doesn't feel pretty. Okay. Know from experience. All right, so safety first. Now we're gonna see where this goes. Okay, so we're gonna bend this down again. Remember, be safe about it. And we're gonna see where this kind of lines up. It lines up pretty good. So I don't think I'm gonna have to cut this anymore. All right, so got it on the first try. Yeah. That's sheer luck, I would say. And before anybody says anything, I'm not wearing sunglasses, okay? These are my everyday wear, you know, outside of work, they transition. So, all right, so we're gonna take this, bend this down, and we're gonna see where the end is right there, okay? Then that's where we're gonna have to kind of stick our anchor, all right? Kind of where this lines up, maybe just a hair in front of it, okay? So you want to see where that lines up, take your finger, mark the ground, okay? That looks good. Now we're going to leave this be, okay? Now, from the piece that we cut off, we can make a toggle out of that. Right. So we get our old saw back out. Let's just cut ourselves a little piece out of that. Okay. Doesn't need to be too big. Right. But you want it thick enough that it's not going to snap under tension. Okay. Keep that in mind. This is going to be under tension, so your toggle, you don't want it to snap. Okay? So something like that. That'll work. I'm going to cut this little knot off of that. Okay? Don't need that. I want this to be flat. Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do with this, okay, is I'm going to cut a little ring around the whole way over here. All right, so that's where our string is going to lock in at. Okay, then over here, I'm going to carve in a bit of a flat spot. Okay, something that our bait stick, I guess that's another part to this trap, is you're going to need a little bait stick, okay, which is going to be a little stick that you're going to bait. All right, now once you're done carving out your bait, yeah, not your bait stick, but your toggle stick, it should kind of look something like this. All right, you're going to have a flat and then a little notch that's going to lock the your snare in place, whatever you're using, whether you're using your whole strand of paracord or just an inner strand, should have something like this. Okay, so before we get into on the ground and doing this, let's go ahead and let's tie up our snare to the pole. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we're going to untie it. Okay. Simply enough. Simply. Tied to the pole. Okay. No fancy nuts. Nothing crazy. Alright. Trucker's hitch. No bow line. Whatever. Okay. We're just going to pull it, lock that down. Now, something else I like to do as well is once we get this tied off, is I'm a huge fan of half hitching. Right? My work, I do a lot of cable pulls. Right? Sometimes big cable. All right? Not sometimes. It's a good decent bit of big cable, okay? And the half hitch goes a long way with making sure we lock that cable on and get a good pull. Okay, so half hitch, you just pull it, tuck it under itself, and what it does, it locks itself on. That's another bite. So we got a bite here where we tied it, and a bite there where we hitched it. Okay, we do another one, bam. All right. Now here's another thing I like to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carve a little notch in here for the cord to go through, and that'll help lock that in place. Okay, so we'll do that, and then we'll get on the ground and do all the ground stuff. Come here. All right, so once you got your paracord tied on, now we're going to move on to the stuff on the ground. Okay, all right, so we're going to take our anchor stick here, and we're going to trim it down a little bit, carve a little points into it, and we're going to push this in the ground, okay? So it anchors to the ground. Okay, so 1, 2. All right. Remember the mark you made on the ground, and we're going to push this in the ground, okay? Well, that broke. Let's go find ourselves another one. I guess that was a little too green. So let's go find a new one and continue this. All right, round 2 with the anchor, okay? So I found another sapling over there that had a nice V shape, little Y shape in it, okay? All right, it's a little bit thicker. It's not as wide as the other one, so pushing it in, it should handle the pressure. So we'll do the same thing. All right, we're gonna carve it down into some points. All right, the points are just to help get through the dirt a little bit easier, okay? Doesn't need to be anything crazy, all right? We're not making a spear out of this. We just want it to go through the dirt. All right, like that. Then we're gonna push this down, okay? Push it down. We need to. Put a little boot on it. All right. Tell you what, this sun, I had to pick a good spot, right? All right, so we got that in the ground. Okay, like so, it's in the ground. All right, should be deep enough to hold it. All right, so now we're gonna tie on our toggle stick, and well, we got to get a bait stick too, so we need something to use as a bait stick. All right. Which this will work. Okay, so snap that off. We'll carve it down when we need it. Okay, just need something that's gonna hold this. All right, this is gonna hold the pressure, and this right here is gonna hold the tension on the other end. And when this goes, pole goes. Okay, so we'll get this tied on, and then we'll get this all set up. All right, hopefully you got a good angle there. Okay, now once you got your toggle stick tied on, what we're going to do is we're going to put it through the anchor. All right, now that's all you want to go through the anchor. You do not want the snare rope, your cable, your wire, whatever you're using to go through the anchor. Okay, then we're going to take our bait stick and we are going to get this locked in. So now all that tension of that spring pole is on this toggle and on that bait stick. Okay, so all we have to do now is tie up our snare. All right, so I'm just going to do a simple little knot here. Just a simple overhand. Okay. Get ourselves a loop. Okay. We're going to have this over the trap, just like that. Okay. Take it, put it over. So turn around and let's check this thing out. This thing a test. All right. So something comes along, wants whatever you got on that bait stick. And there we go. One caught critter. Whew. All right, guys. So there it is. That is the toggle stick spring pole snare. I'm gonna go bait this thing up and get it set before the sun goes down, and stick around for part two. See what we got.